Straight up crazy voiceover comments. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. You picked a good morning to be here. How are you doing? Or good evening, whatever the time may be for you. My name's Bill DeWeese. I am your host. If you're new, a special welcome to you. I've been recording voiceovers full-time for the past 18 years. I'm a voiceover coach and demo producer. My latest book is Get Paid Using Your Voice, Get Found, Get Heard, Get Hired. Link below in the description. I saw somebody was just saying in the comments that they're listening through it now. They're listening through the audiobook version of this now for the fourth time. So thank you for that. This is intended as your roadmap. This is the 30,000-foot view, your satellite view map of the industry to help you avoid, running around in circles, chasing your tail around, get from A to B as quickly and efficiently and as cheaply as you possibly can. In other words, invest where you need to, but don't spend money needlessly. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody who has spent so many thousands of dollars in voiceover. And, if you start off with the right information, you'll know where to spend the money and where not to spend the money. And that's just one of the things that covers. But I'm so glad that you're here today. Couple of things. One thing I want to mention before we get into our crazy comment, and I've got a good one for you this morning, our crazy voiceover comment, and I'll explain more what that is in just a moment. Wanted to let you know that a week from last night, in other words, this coming Tuesday, we will be presenting a live voiceover training featuring Kayla Brick. Kayla joined us a while back to teach a class on Upwork, another emerging freelance platform, showing you yet another spoke, giving you yet another spoke in your voiceover marketing wheel to make the ride stable and smooth. Nobody rides a bicycle with one spoke and has a good ride. It's unpredictable, it's crazy, and frankly, it's dangerous. You want multiple spokes to create consistent outcome, as in income, an outcome of your income. She will be teaching a Upwork update. So this is a refreshed class reflecting the new stuff that you need to know regarding Upwork. It's coming up again on Tuesday. Link below in the description for that. And by the way, check in on the live chat. Just let me know where you're watching and listening from this morning, and I'll do some shout outs here shortly for that. So yesterday I brought up this idea that I had, and because a lot of what I talk about is it's really trying to straighten out things that you hear elsewhere. Not that I am the standard bearer and the holder of all truth. This is not a voiceover cult. That's not what I'm trying to say. But needless to say, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, and many of you have found your way here after going down many rabbit holes and many paths and many other things that were suggested or told you that you've come to find out weren't exactly a reflection of the truth. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that people are intentionally lying to you. I think most of these people who say the crazy stuff actually believe what they say, which is kind of the scary part of it all. But my purpose for being here, for spending my time in the mornings, I want to, is to share information to help you be profitable as a voiceover talent. So yesterday, I received the voiceover comment of the day. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm not going to call out names. This is not to call out people or to try to shame people. It's to talk about the idea. We're talking about ideas here, and try to get the best information to you possible so that it helps to increase your chances of not only just getting a voiceover business going, but to make it as profitable as you possibly can. Pointed me to a YouTube video called "Why Fiverr Sucks for Voiceover." I love these. Why Fiverr? We're still fighting that battle. Why Fiverr sucks for voiceover. So I listened to a bit of it to get an idea what it was, and then this morning went back and listened to even more of it, and then the more I listen to it, the more it's the same thing I've heard for years. And what's funny is this. Okay, here's the main thing that sticks out to me. The argument that's given why Fiverr sucks is the same argument that I heard earlier on in my career regarding pay-to-play sites like Voices.com and Voice123. And what's interesting is that this particular voiceover talent is now pushing pay-to-play sites as legitimate, but Fiverr as not legitimate. So there's, I think that's ironic that, you see the same things played out. Point being, if you're ahead of the curve and doing things that people have not adapted wholeheartedly yet, because there's always a trickle at first adapters, and then the crowd comes along when they eventually, they mock you at first, and eventually they catch on and think, oh, okay, yeah, this thing works, and they move in. And that's really what's happening now with Fiverr. So this particular person is a little bit behind the curve on it. Um, but and here's the subtitle: How to Spin Your VO Tires and Get Nowhere. My first question, if I were having a conversation with this person, would be exactly how long you've been on Fiverr, and to tell me about your experience. I'm curious because I didn't hear any reference, and maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear any reference to the fact this person's actually been on there to know exactly how it works. And I can tell, and let's just talk experience first of all. I just over Thanksgiving, I booked and recorded a $1,400 voiceover job on Fiverr. It was a legitimate safety training program. Paid 35 minutes or $35 per finished minute. Now, and I mean, if you want to look down your nose at that and say, well, that's terrible, then I really like to know where you're getting your work from. Um, that was pretty solid. I booked 2 more jobs last night through Fiverr before I went to bed. One was for a commercial for a Bayer product called Redoxon Triple Action, and it's for the Caribbean market. So it's not for the broad US market. It's for the Caribbean market. So if you want to say, well, that's not legitimate. Okay, well, then fine. You hold out for something bigger, I guess. And I also booked a job and waiting for them to accept the offer this morning, but we negotiated everything last night. And that is to record a promotional trailer for a new board game that's coming out. Uh, I'm not saying, he's like, where do you even start with something like this? Here's what it comes down to. Let's just kind of get down to the brass tacks. Where does this emanate from? Here's the thing. When I first got into voiceover, you know the story I was told. And again, this is almost 20 years ago. If you want to be successful in voiceover, get a coach, you get your demo, and then you get what? An agent. An agent was seen as the legitimizer of voiceover. And if you wanted to have a successful career, that's what you had to do, or at least so I was told. Well, what I learned was that was not the case. As a matter of fact, what I found out was that most people who followed that path never made it, could never survive, not even on a part-time basis in voiceover. Some do, and a handful of people actually make a very good living, better living than I do. Most of them live in Los Angeles, and it's a little bit of a different culture there, but it's a very small group. So if you want to play that game, you can. And again, I'm not saying you should not. I would never tell you how to run your business. I'm telling you what you need to know if you want to make money in voiceover, and you want to have the best shot to do. If you want to play the odds, and to tackle this in a business way, to make sure, because everybody that tackles this in a true business way can make a good amount of money doing this, whether it be on a part-time or on a full-time basis. The problem is that most of the people who say this feel that they want to be legitimized, not by their clients, but by you, by other voiceover talent. So if you're not getting work through their approved channels, then you're not a legitimate talent. That's really, this is my opinion based on observation and a long life and career in which I saw this happen not only in voiceover, but when I was in radio, when I was a radio program director. And of course, I attended a lot of national conventions, and I was good at what I did. And I remember, program directors were so tempted. They wanted to appear cool and legitimate to their peers, sometimes more than they did to their audiences. Sometimes what you need to do to grow an audience is not what's going to make your friends and your peers in the industry think you're cool, but you could be highly successful as a programmer if you understand your market and you play to your market and play to your audience. So there's a group of people that are kind of playing to each other for each other's approval. They want the awards, they want the accolades. They only want, they want you to think the only jobs they get are the big, high-profile jobs. The great thing is, if you approach this as a true business, is what I advocate for, it doesn't mean you won't get those jobs. It just means you'll get a lot more work in between. The years that you may have to wait for a big national ad, you'll actually be getting other jobs and making a living. How many of those people are making even a good part-time living that are following that more traditional path? Let alone how many can make a full-time living, let alone how many can make 6 figures, let alone how many can make a multiple 6-figure income. I could go on and on about this. And the thing that, personally, it doesn't bother. I could care less what other people do. I don't care what this guy does. I don't care what, do what you do. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to continue to make a really good living in voiceover, doing projects. Some of the stuff's boring. Sure, I do a lot of corporate stuff. Maybe you don't think that's cool, and that's fine. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Is it fun when I get to, when I book the Redoxon ad? Is it fun when I book the Chevrolet Find New Roads ad? Is it fun when I do something for United Airlines? Yeah, sure it is. It's cool. I guess that's when you take your VO flex. But those jobs don't come along every day or every week or sometimes not even every year. So if you want to make a full-time living at this, you really need to look at this as a business. And again, if this is not the path you want and you only want to do things that appear to be legitimate to other people that position you and you want awards and, look good to other people, that's fine. And again, I don't care whether you get awards or not. There's nothing wrong with awards. My point being, you've got to decide what you want out of voiceover. Are you playing for the recognition of other people? And if that's your game, you know, more power to you. Hope that works out for you. But if you want to make a living doing this and you want this to be an actual business and you want to support your family and you want to build a future with it, then you really need to question hard a lot of the crazy, nonsensical things that are said by people. At the very least, investigate. Investigate what they don't take the things that I say. And you should never take anything anybody says wholesale. Check it out. Investigate it. Somebody, years, this person who made this video made some reference to recording, kind of dismissing Fiverr as, you get a 10,000 word audiobook for $5. What planet did this person live on? I mean, sure, if you want to, there are jobs out there like that if you want it, but nobody says you have to take those. Like I said, I just finished a $1,400 safety training job at $35 per finished minute. Are you kidding me? I'll take that all day long. I don't care if I get another national credit for the rest of my life. I would do that all day, every day. Wouldn't you? Well, okay. Now I'm getting a little fired up, and you get it. You understand what I'm saying. And I'm sure this is not just a voiceover thing. It's human behavior. It's what human beings do. And frankly, the voiceover establishment, which is a small group, the voiceover establishment is not the voiceover community. It's a smaller group of people who are stuck to a way in the past. They're stuck to this idea that if it's not through what they consider to be a legitimized platform, and apparently pay-to-plays now. Again, when I first got started, they weren't legitimized. They were mocked and ridiculed by the voiceover established. Now, they've been accepted years later. That's the way human beings work. So if you want to step out and do something that's ahead of the crowd, expect to have some rocks thrown at you. That's just the way it is. But is that more important to you than securing a good income? For me, it's not. That doesn't bother me at all. The reason I'm here is not to defend my position. It's to give you information. Like I said, whether you do what I do or, follow my advice or not, that's it's your business. It's not even my business. You do what you want to do. But I want to make sure at least you have good information to work with and at least be encouraged to investigate the things you hear. Don't take everything as gospel because it's not. Have I said enough about that yet? I'm sorry. I probably went on a little longer than I should. But if you hear a crazy comment out there that you think needs to be debunked or addressed, email it to me. Just email training@buildawees.com and the subject line, put crazy comment. Those started to come in yesterday, and I certainly appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what's going on in the chat this morning. What's going on? Rob, you're first in from lovely Loveland, Ohio. Mark in Montreal. Jason in Kearney, Nebraska, just wrapped up 2 audiobooks yesterday and on to another. Thank you, Bill. I may be talking to you about a professional demo soon. Jason, fantastic. Congrats to you. I love to hear that. Kathleen, what's going on in Evanston, Wyoming? Rusty in the UP of Michigan. Nephi in Knoxville. Terry in Falston, Maryland. Hey, Joe, what's happening in the UK? We got Don, where it's really hot in South Africa. Don, good to have you here today. It's Keith in Renton, Washington. Nancy in South Dakota. Jim in Indiana. John checking in from Denver on this hump day. Eddie, good morning to you in San Antonio. Currently on, it's Eddie. It's on his 4th listen of my new book. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. Link below in the description. Hey, Ron, good morning to you from across the pond. And we're talking specifically of Lake Michigan, where Ron lives in Grand Haven, Michigan. Ron, thank you for being here. John in Vestal, New York. Tim in Altoona. Mark in Wilmington, North Carolina. Alex says, bring on the crazy. Good morning from Utah. Jim, from beautiful Beaufort, South Carolina. There is a Beaufort and a Beaufort. Is Beaufort, am I missing something here, Jim? I remember back when we spent a lot of time in Hilton Head, there was, I would always get confused between Beaufort and Beaufort. So Beaufort is what's close to Hilton Head. Where's Beaufort? Did I dream something? But I'm pretty sure there's a Beaufort someplace in the area. Kirk, what's happening in Greenville, South Carolina? Hey, James, you're welcome. Monty, hello to you in Hartsville, South Carolina. Rick, what's up in Minneapolis? David in Hamilton, Ontario. And by the way, guys, I see those likes coming in. We have just a little more than 50% on the stream this morning. I've given a thumbs up to the video. You guys, I appreciate it. Remember, whenever you do click that button, YouTube is going to share this video with more people who are seeking good voiceover information. And that's our mission here at this channel. Did I mention David in Hamilton, Ontario? Andrew in Latvia? Aaron in the state of Washington? Marie in Texas? Tracy, how's it going in Rochester, Minnesota? Mike in Grants Pass, Oregon? Colin says, love the book. Thank you, Colin. I appreciate that. Hey, Amisha, how you doing in Florence, South Carolina? Wayne in Port Orchard, Washington? Denise checking in from Long Island, where we had a light dusting of snow on the ground. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, Denise. Hey, Vince, good morning to you in Oakland, California. Just read your book over Thanksgiving. Feeling super inspired to lay the foundation for my VO work. That's fantastic, Vince. I'm so glad to hear that. Hey, Joy, good morning at a cold and cloudy Southfield, Michigan. Sandy from Sandra, checking in from Dallas, Fort Worth. Marla says, and Marla from Texas says, buy that book. Great reference for VO actors. I should get a poster of that or something and just post here in the background. That way we wouldn't have to pick it up all the time and do all my crazy commercial gestures. GH in Longview, what's going on up there in Washington? Rusty. Let's see here. Good morning to you. Rusty, you're just email your question to our support department, which is training@BillDeweese.com. Brad from beautiful but cold Helena, Montana. Celeste in Newark, Delaware. Celeste, hope that knee's coming along nicely. Hope you're doing your physical therapy. Don't neglect that. I hear that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they get those knees replaced. Wade, listen to me, talking like a dad. Sorry about that. Wade, what's going on in Philadelphia? Joe Lee, it's sure windy here in Minnesota this morning. You know, I can handle the cold. It's the wind that's tough, right, Joe Lee? Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Ethan, happy hump day from snowy and cold Toronto. It's Paul in Arkansas checking in. Somebody says you're amazing. Oh, wow. Well, I don't know, but thank you. No, I appreciate the comment. You're very kind. Jorge, good morning. Look forward to the Upwork updates lesson, getting some interesting projects from them. Fantastic. Good to hear that, Jorge. Okay, let's see here. David in Gardner, Kansas. Okay. I can either confirm or deny the truth of this next comment, but I'm just going to read it because it's posted here. I know the exact video you're talking about. The specific person you're talking about is on Fiverr themselves, saying they are only there just to let us know how it is on there. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I will tell you this. One of the great revelations to me, this is not about Fiverr, but earlier on in my career, remember I said back then, people, the voiceover establishment was like very anti-voices.com and Voice123, which now, is just part of the mainstay of the voiceover landscape. I remember somebody in Los Angeles, and I will not say their name. They're very, very, very high profile, who said that they were on the pay-to-play sites because they feel like they just, they needed, they still needed to get work when they could get work, and they weren't publicizing it. I don't even know if they were operating under their real name, but it's, a lot of people, yeah, who knows what people do. But I just thought that was an interesting revelation to me. Everybody's got to make a living, right? Sandra in Worthington, OH. Andrew saying, thanks for all you do. Thank you for being here, Andrew, from Devon in the UK. Mike, Fiverr has absolutely been taking off the past few weeks for me. Here's let me just stop a second and editorialize just a moment more about Fiverr. Like I said, Fiverr, I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. Nobody's paying me to say any of this. I have nothing to benefit. As a matter of fact, the more people get on Fiverr, I mean, that's, obviously you're competing against the jobs, but the great thing is there's so much work on there. And it's growing all the time. But one of the things that Fiverr has done really well over the last several years under their newer leadership is they've done a really good job in bringing in bigger clients. So while many people would turn their nose up at the idea of entry level work, that was another thing this person did on this video, by the way. The one of the great things about Fiverr is that whether there is such a thing, and not only voiceover, but in all careers, entry level work. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a dirty word. It's how we all get started doing what we do. Nobody goes to the C-suite their first day of work. They have to work their way up there. And you've got to work your way up in voiceover as well. And the great thing about Fiverr is it's got the entire spread. So if you're new, there's something for you to where you can begin to earn revenue and develop your skills and then compete for higher paying jobs. And like I said, they're developing bigger clients with bigger budgets. That's just, I've seen that being on Fiverr, especially in the past year. It's been fantastic. Let's see here. Got to get all the spokes in the wheel. Yes, indeed. I'm glad someone sent you that video. Otherwise I would have. Thanks. Ron says base hits are better than home runs long term. Oh my gosh, Ron, I love that analogy because it's so true. And the great thing about if you're only, are the only legitimate baseball players the ones who hit the most home runs? Let's talk Pete Rose for an example. I don't know how many home runs Pete Rose hit. He hit some home runs, but he's the all-time leading base hit king. And he's one of the most highly regarded baseball players of all time. Aside from his personal problems and gambling, the man was one of the greatest, if not the greatest baseball player of all time. And he did that hitting base hits, not home runs. When you get the home runs, that's great. But the home runs are not what legitimize you. What legitimizes you is being able to make a living doing it, getting the work. But again, I digress. Good morning from Virginia Beach. Wally, what's going on in Maryland? What mic is this? Is a Neumann TLM 103. Marie says, this is the coolest career path and the only one I'm interested in, and I feel pretty lucky learning from you. Thank you, Bill. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Appreciate that. Denise says, truer words not spoken. Andrew says, very true indeed. Rick says, I love fired up Bill. I'm a pretty chill guy. But don't mess with my voiceover people. That's you. Don't mess with people who are legitimately trying to build something real, not trying to impress peers, but trying to build something real and substantial for themselves and for their families. Don't mess with those people. That's what gets me fired up. Let's see here. If you're shooting for an award, you don't get it. Well, I'm sorry, but there's not a lot of pity. But if you legitimately want to make a living doing voiceover, that's where I step in and say, that's important. That's important. Theo says, good morning from high up on the 22nd floor in downtown Chicago. Jim says, hello from frozen Memphis. Robert, I looked up at that title and I'm surprised it's not the elite gatekeeper I thought it was. It's all good, Bill. You can vent on your channel. We all need to let it out sometimes. Thank you, Murray. Samuel says you and your training are the real deal. Again, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm not fishing for for your comments, but they're always appreciated. Thank you. It does mean a lot to me. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? Ivan in Croatia. What's going on, Ivan? Tony in Yorkville, Illinois. Good to see you here. Okay, Max says, oh, Beaufort is North Carolina. Beaufort is South Carolina. Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Yeah, okay. It's like, I come from a town called Lancaster, Ohio, but if you were to go to California and go to Lancaster, it would not be called Lancaster, it would be called Lancaster. Why we all can't get on the same page on these things, I don't know. It's just one of those great mysteries of life. Jim, let's see here. Beaufort is near Hilton Head. Come visit next time you're in the area. Thank you, Jim. You can listen, adopt the condescending attitudes and scoff, or you can eat and pay your bills. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Tanya says, and we're almost here to the end of the list. Have you heard once that you were the voice for in-store TV demos? I used to be the person who installed and updated them not long before I discovered your YouTube channel. Yeah, you know what? I used to do LG Electronics. I was the in-store voice for like Best Buys and Walmarts and all that kind of stuff. That was a great gig. It's like with all gigs, they only, it's a limited time engagement. Everybody updates voices over time, but I did that for like several years. But you may be the first person who actually said, "Hey, I heard you." I assume they were using them. I mean, they paid me to do it. I didn't go in the store to hear it myself, but thanks for saying that. Good to know somebody heard it. JR, what's happening in Austin, Texas? John, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants recently said he would audition for any job that's willing to pay him to read something. Need I say more? Julie says, I saw a Martha Stewart commercial endorsing Fiverr. Again, need I say more? Vince says, just posted my first Fiverr gig 2 days ago. Shavings, build a pile is my new mantra. That is the truth. Yolanda in Las Vegas. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Again, if you hear something that seems a little off the rails, a little misleading, or just plain not true in voiceover, just send me an email at training@buildaweiss.com. Put in the description crazy comment. We'll use that for future fodder for commercials to keep us all on the straight and narrow here, help us all make money in voiceover. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.